All right, and welcome back to the forecast card. Haven't actually posted an MLB video in a few days. I think the last one was on the 28th of March. Kind of just been posting them on and off um, on the actual post on your channel feature, but I want to start getting back into the routine of posting them. NBA, I'm probably going to lay off of it until playoffs start because it's just been a shit show, and college basketball is slowly ending, but for the most part, it's just going to be mostly like bullshit tournaments until the Final Four every other weekend, or whatever. So excited to watch those. But for now, baseball is going to be the primary focus of the channel. And now that more data is coming in, I'm starting to feel at least a little bit more confident on kind of getting a feel of how these teams are looking to start off the year. So I like 10 games today, a lot more than I typically do. For better or for worse, we'll see. Could it go 0-10? Could it go 10-0? It is baseball. Shit happens, but quite excited for the season to start. I'm also going to start posting my home run videos. Historically, I've done really, really well with them. Even if you just take them as singles, you'll probably have been more profitable than taking the 3-leg parlays that I like to run every day. But I think I've hit at least one every day for like the entire season so far, and most of them are like plus 400. So pretty profitable as singles. But I kind of prefer to just run them as like long shots. But I typically have been taking them as singles a lot more. So let's get into it. Starting with game number 1. We have the Athletics, soon to be the Las Vegas Athletics, assuming they're keeping the name, versus the Colorado Rockies. Now, if we're looking at just pure hitting, the Athletics roster, for the most part, is very similar to what it was last year, at least its batters. And I finished off the last 2 months of the season, they were really good against right-handed pitching, especially on the road. Ranked 5th in WRC Plus with 123. That's over 670 plate appearances. They were looking really, really good. On the other side, the Rockies at home versus righties, so in Coors Field, they were a bottom 5 team, ranked 84th in WRC Plus. So now we're getting these Oakland bats that have been really hot against righties in Coors Field. And Athletics, yeah, they have like Brent Rooker and a couple guys that hit bombs, Shea Anglier, but for the most part, they also have a really good team at just hitting singles and doubles, which is kind of good in this park the way that the wind's blowing in tomorrow. If you look at how they kind of started off this year, versus righties, the Athletics haven't been nearly as dominant. Still pretty solid, 88 in WRC plus against right-handed pitching, but Colorado again dead last, 33rd in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. So hitting wise, I really like the Athletics in this matchup, especially considering this is going to be the first game for Colorado playing on this field. They still have to readjust their body. And again, if you look at both these teams don't have a lot of left-handed pitching, and Beto has been a team that's been a pitcher really good at pitching against righties. Historically, last year he was really good against lefties, but he's still elite versus righties. Sub .250 batting average on both. He's been a really good road pitcher, sub 3.5 ERA last year. Obviously, he didn't pitch a ton. He kind of started pitching, midway through the year, but I think he has the ability to be really elite. He's got all the stuff to be elite, and I'm liking to think that on the offseason he's improved. Feltner, on the other hand, he's been really bad. Obviously, when you look at ERAs at home, it's going to be a little bit, overlooked because he plays in Coors Field when he plays at home. And obviously, your ERA is going to be worse because batters can hit the ball further. But again, at home, even on the road, he hasn't been great. He has an average of 5.63 ERA since 2023 at home. He doesn't strike out a ton. He gives up a decent amount of home runs. The biggest problem he has is that he walks a lot. He sees a lot of pitchers, a lot of, potential throws per pitcher or per at bat. And the Rockies bullpen is not great. So he's kind of struggled that way. I think we're getting a really fair price here with the Athletics, a team that hits righties better. I think they have a better lineup. And they actually have a pretty good bullpen this year. On paper, you think Athletics are dog shit, but in my opinion, they have a potentially top 10 bullpen this year. I have a 9th in my personal model. Well, the Rockies have the 13th best, but the Rockies are kind of a bit less rested. So I don't know. I really like Beto. He was really, really good last year, and Feltner's kind of been mid. And both pitchers have already played once this year, and I think Beto's had the better start. So give me Oakland Athletics, or sorry, just the Athletics money line in game number 1. All right, heading on to game number 2, we have the Yankees versus the Pirates. Now, obviously, Mitch Keller at home has been elite, been usually worth a lot when you're betting on him. Historically, he's been an elite pitcher at home, and you could get plus money for the Pirates, but man, their bats, they just don't give me any confidence, especially against an elite pitcher like Max Fried. To end off spring training, they put up 1-0, 1-1, and then since the league started, they put up 4-4, 4-2. Pretty much only be able to hit the really shitty Marlins pitchers, and then they played the Rays, who have a decent pitching staff. They put up 1 run, 0 runs, 4 runs. So their offense not great, and historically, Max Fried has owned this entire lineup. Holding them to a sub .600 OPS, sub .250 average. On the other side, Mitch Keller against this Yankees lineup has really struggled, giving up a .930 OPS, an average of 339 over 62 at bats. Definitely a problem when you kind of look at what Mitch Keller can do at home. Yes, he's been good, but this is going to be a problem lineup, especially considering the Yankees have 6 potential left-handed hitters in this matchup. And Keller has really struggled against the lefties, while Max Fried has been pretty solid against both. I think we're getting a good price because Keller had a really good start this year, and Max Fried's kind of looked a little bit shaky, but I think all the pitchers that have had bad starts, just look at like Nestor Cortez. He had a really good game today. I think all of these pitchers are having rough starts in their first game, but they kind of lock back in the second one. So I think the Pirates are going to have a really hard time getting offense. And even if Mitch Keller plays an elite game, I still don't think the Pirates have a great bullpen. I want to look at their ranking. Yeah, 26th on my ranking in bullpen. Their bullpen is not rested. And if we want to compare the pitchers, I have Mitch Keller ranked 176th best pitcher in baseball, while Max Fried is the top 10 pitcher. So we're getting the way better pitcher. If you look at this Pittsburgh team last year, they were actually not bad at hitting left-handed pitching last year to end it off. They were the 16th best team with a 90 WRC plus. But the Yankees against righties, 112 WRC plus to end off the year. And now to start off the year, obviously the Yankees are hitting well. They're number 8 with 135 OPS. Meanwhile, the Pirates against lefties are dead last with a -2 WRC plus. Obviously, they've only had 15 plate appearances, but they clearly have not had a great start to the left-handed pitching they have seen. Obviously, an extremely small sample size, so you can't really have any conclusions on that. But I think we're getting the way better team, the way better bats. We're getting them on the roads. We get those extra 3 outs, to have a chance to cover the run line if this game does end up going close. Historically, Yankees have dominated the Pirates. Pirates have struggled against the Yankees. Give me the Yankees plus money here on the run line. All right, that brings us to game number 3. Kind of similar to the Pirates, some elite pitching, but their bats suck. And the Mariners have been historically a team that only does well at home. Now, this game's kind of funny because I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of money coming on Seattle on accident because Louis F. Castillo is pitching for Seattle. And if you don't look twice, you don't realize that Louis Castillo and Louis F. Castillo are not the same people. Actually very different. Louis Castillo is very elite, but Louis F. Castillo is going to be his debut. So very different level of pitching. The Giants have looked really, really good to start off this year. Last year to end off the year versus righties, Giants were okay at home versus right-handed pitching. They were, where are they? 87 WRC plus. Not great, right? And if you look at the Mariners away versus righties, they were actually pretty good, 110. But again, their lineup was hitting a lot. I don't know if you remember the way that the last year ended, but the Mariners looked like one of the best offensive teams in the last 2 months. But to start off this year, the Giants versus righties, in general, 94 WRC plus. Again, nothing crazy, slightly below average. So I'm not going to say run to the bank. But Mariners 89. So on paper, it's not insane. Both these bats haven't been hot, but the Giants have been the way better team. That's just a fact of the way they've been playing. Now we're getting basically a rookie against Justin Verlander, who had a pretty solid start to start off the year. You never really know when you're getting these really old pitchers how they're going to look, but I was quite impressed with how he did look. He's obviously an elite pitcher at his best. An xFIP to start off the year so far of a 3.06. So the 5 innings he did pitch were considered to be really elite level. And Luis F. Castillo is going to be his home opener. So we're not really sure where we're going to get from him. But I think the Giants are going to be able to get to him. Verlander, obviously a probably Hall of Fame pitcher. But when you look at the historic matchups here, Verlander has kind of owned the Mariners. Obviously, it's hard to look at these stats because he's played them for so many times because his career's been so long. But historically, he's held the Mariners to a sub 160 average or .157, only giving up 18 hits on 115 at bats. It seems like he has done well here against this Mariners lineup. Obviously, it's changed a ton over the years, but a lot of the core players are still there. Cal Raleigh, whatever his name is, Julio Rodriguez. On the other side, this Louis guy, he's kind of didn't look that good in his preseason. So who knows what we're going to get from him? He could be, the next coming of Jesus. Who knows? But I'm going to bank here on the Giants at home in their home opener to be able to get to him. And their bats, especially with Helio Ramos, has been insane this year. If Matt Chapman and Willie Adams can start getting hot, this team is going to be really hard to stop because they have so much fucking power. So yeah, give me the Giants here. I think this line moves to like -155 by tip-off. All right, that brings us to game number 4, which is the D-backs at the Nationals. Now, if you look at both these teams versus righties, to end off the year and to start, they've been really good. D-backs, obviously the number 1 team against right-handed pitching over the last 3 months. To end off the year last year, they were the number 1 team with a WRC plus of 130, and that's over 1,400 plate appearances, so definitely not a fluke. If you look at the Nationals at home versus righties, pretty good too. 104, top 15, upper echelon of hitting righties. To start off this year versus right-handed pitching, Arizona still elite, 174th over 129 plate appearances, so they're continuing to smack righties really well. And the Nationals have moved up. They've went to top 12 with 106 WRC plus. So I think in terms of matchup, we have 6 lefties on both teams. We have 4 lefties on both, but 2 switch hitters that are going to switch to their lefty against these right-handed pitchers. Obviously, we have Pafat, probably not pronouncing that right, versus Jake Irvin. Looking at my model, we have Jake Irvin as a pretty mid pitcher. He's got a Sierra, which is probably my favorite single data point to look at pitchers. He's been pretty shit. 4.75 Sierra is really bad. To kind of encapsulate your last 2 years. Pafat has been better, really good, 3.29. But again, I don't think that matters nearly as much as some people might think it does. Again, if you look at the xFIP here, to start off the year, Pafat has been 4.56 an xFIP against lefties, and Jake Irvin has actually had a bit of a better year. But again, 2 innings pitched, like no sample sizes. So I'm going to go off last year a lot more. I think both these pitchers are okay. I have Pafat ranked as my 96th best pitcher in baseball, and Jake Irvin as my 212th best pitcher. So again, not really that elite of pitching, in my opinion. If we look at their bullpens here, Diamondbacks 14th, Nationals 29th. Not great. Neither of these pitchers have necessarily had a solid record against each other. So yeah, I think we're getting a good ballpark. 2 mid pitchers, 2 lineups that have been really good against right-handed pitching, 2 bullpens that aren't phenomenal, and weather is going to be decent. We're going to have a slightly very slow winds, basically no winds, but very small winds going inwards, which typically is actually a decent thing for hitters. So I'm going to take the over 8.5 in this one. I think we see a lot of hits here from the 12 lefties that are going to be starting. All right, heading on to game number 5, we have the Dodgers versus the Phillies. Now, the Dodgers have to lose. I understand they are going to be starting arguably their best pitcher. I think it's between Yamamoto and Glasnow, who's considered their true ace. But Yamamoto looked really good in the start. I think 10 strikeouts. But they have to lose eventually, right? And I think being on their first road trip playing against the Phillies in their home opener. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's their home opener, but it's the first road game for the Dodgers. I think it's gonna be tough. Yamamoto's good, but he's gonna go up a very lefty-heavy lineup with 5 lefties of 9 batters. I don't know. I think if you look at the stats last year to end off the year, the Phillies at home versus righties were really good. Top 10, 114 WRC plus. And this year they've been even better with a 191 WRC plus, over 103 pitching plate appearances. So not necessarily completely fluky. Obviously not a statistical sample, but they're clearly hitting the righties well with this lefty lineup. If you look at, I guess, these two pitchers, how they've been to start the year, they both had one at bat. Yamamoto's been pretty good, as you would expect. He's been in terms of xFIP, he's been the 9th best pitcher in college basketball in baseball with a 1.75 over 10 innings. Very elite stuff. You could say he's the truth. You probably are right, but I'm not necessarily too concerned because I don't know. I just think he's going to struggle a bit here. Obviously, we're getting Luzardo, who's also had a really good year. He's actually been the 3rd best pitcher with only 5 innings pitched, but he's had a xFIP of 0.94. Obviously, he's not nearly at the level of Yamamoto. He's much later in his career, but I kind of like this spot here. I really do. I think Yamamoto is due to get hit a little bit. Obviously, he is. You can't really compare. Luzardo's maybe I have him as 42nd best. Yamamoto's top 10. He's obviously the better pitcher, but matchup wise, I think it's gonna be tougher here for the Dodgers playing in this Philadelphia park. And if you look at this is a Phillies park that really benefits lefties, and I like to think that's why they built their lineup like this for both home runs and for just general hitting. And the Dodgers are not necessarily a very left hitting team. They only have 3 lefties. Obviously, they're going to be running more righties here against the lefty, but I'd rather take the lefty versus righty side if I'm being honest. So, I think the Dodgers, they haven't lost the game yet. They just had a pretty tight one against the Braves, all the way down to the wire. Very emotional win. I think they travel here and they get hit up early, and I think Yamamoto has a rough start here against a really pretty decent hitting lefty lineup here in the Phillies. So give me the Phillies money line at plus 120 for this game. All right, that brings us to game number 6 or 5 or 6. We have the Marlins versus the Braves. Now, I understand that the Braves kind of looked like they came alive today. They kind of threw away their win, but until they get Ronald Acuna back, this team looks like shit. Like, they have been one of the worst offenses. And obviously, Schwellenbach is a better pitcher than Max Meyer, but if you look at the data, the Braves versus righties, they weren't even that good last year. They were ranked enough the year. They were 102 WRC plus versus Miami, who were 107. And to start off the year, versus right-handed pitching, Atlanta is second last with 50 WRC plus. Miami only 78. Obviously not doing, crazy numbers, but still slightly better here than this Atlanta team who can't hit righties to save their life. They can't hit anything to save their life. Obviously, if you look at the starts here, between Max Meyer had a really good start in 5 innings pitched, 2.33 xFIP. I believe this is Schwellenbach's first game. So again, if you look at a lot of these elite pitchers in their first games, they kind of looked really shitty. Obviously, if you look at any kind of model, Schwellenbach is, for all intents and purposes, a better pitcher than Max Meyer. I think that's very obvious. I have Max Meyer ranked as my 135th best pitcher compared to Schwellenbach, who I have as my 17th. Obviously, you're getting better pitching with Atlanta. That's why you're getting a really good price here. But I really do think the Marlins keep this game close to start. I really, really don't trust this Braves team. Until I start seeing them hit the ball, I don't trust them. I think the weather's going to be pretty good, which I think the Marlins bats will have some success with. They don't really rely as much on home runs, and this is not necessarily a home run friendly ballpark. If you compare this to other ones, let me go to 2014, and then filter by home runs. Yeah, the Braves not even a top 10 home run field. So if the Braves' offense isn't coming to life, I think that the really shitty kind of weird lineup of Miami, who kind of just made up of really young players, are going to have some success here. With a pitcher that has already pitched once, I think he's going to be worked in. And I think Schwellenbach could really struggle here. Obviously, the Braves have not won. They're 0-7 to start the year. Maybe they're going to be due for a win here at home. But yeah, I'm going to take the first 5 plus 0.5 and sprinkle the first 5 money line. I think we're getting a really good price. And I'm not really not sold on this Braves offense yet. So could be a terrible side. Braves could just come to life today in their home opener. But I think Schwellenbach with the big lights on them and the Braves bats kind of under pressure with fans kind of rooting them on. I think they overthink it, start striking out a ton. I think Schwellenbach will lose control and give up a bunch of walks. So yeah, give me fuck it. Give me the Marlins first 5 plus half a run plus 5 or 100. All right, heading on to game number 7, we have the Orioles at the Royals. Now, I think we're getting a really good price with the Orioles here. I think because of how they've kind of looked, they've looked shitty, but they're getting Gunnar Henderson back for this game. As far as I understand, he was supposed to start for this Royals series, so I'm capping this assuming he is playing. But again, if you look at both these teams versus righties, last year, pretty even, both of them around 100 WRC plus, but this year, the Orioles have been smacking righties, 156 WRC plus over 159 plate appearances, while the Royals, or 240 plate appearances, 76 WRC plus. So more than double WRC plus for the Orioles here. And Lugo, I don't think is double as good of a pitcher as Kremer is. You never really know what you're going to get from Kremer. But again, both these bullpens are kind of equal. If I had to pick one, Lugo, I have him as barely a top 100 pitcher. I have Kremer just outside of the top 100. So I think we're getting the better bats here. I think they're going to get a bump in their offense with Gunnar coming back. I think he's going to start off strong with like a double, and that's going to kind of motivate the rest of their team here to stack up their RBI. I do think they have the younger, more talented squad. Obviously, you still have Bobby Witt on the other side, but he just hasn't looked himself this year. I think the Orioles improve the record to 4-4, and the Royals strike out a ton against Kremer, who I think after one bad start is going to lock back in, which has been a very big trend so far to start off this year. So Orioles money line minus 105. All right, that brings us to game number 8. We have the Rays versus the Rangers. Now, the Rangers are a weird team. They obviously have a lot of talent, but their bats have been kind of mid. But pretty much my only argument for this is that we're getting plus money here for, I think, a Royals team that, if you look at their offense, you don't think they're very good. But last year against righties, they looked like shit. 86 WRC plus, not great. But this year, they've been a top 4 offense against righties, over 162 plate appearances, batting average of .308, on base of .377, slugging of .441, OPS of over .800. So they've been hitting the shit out of righties. While Texas, at the very bottom, over 187 plate appearances, a .81, 181 average, 67 WRC plus. So I think Littell is also the better pitcher here. He had a really good start. Molly did not have a good start. I don't know. People keep talking shit about the Rays, and I don't understand why. I think if you look at Littell, he's been a top 12 pitcher this year. Obviously, he's played 6 innings, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But he had a really good start here in his first game, while Molly had a complete opposite, one of the worst starts with an xFIP of 8.39. So really tough start for him. If you look at them last year in terms of Sierra, again, I think we're getting Molly had a 4.92 Sierra, not impressive at all. Littell 3.76. So we're getting the better pitcher with the team that's been hitting righties better, that have the better bullpen. So I don't understand this price, if I'm being completely honest. I think the Rays should not be plus money here. Again, I do understand Texas has some of the most elite batters. If you look at their lineup, they have Semien, Seager, Langford, Adolis Garcia, Jake Burger, Josh Smith, Jonah Heim. Like, these are all guys that can hit bombs, and they have always the ability to hit bombs. But again, wind is blowing in. It's going to be cold. It's going to potentially be raining. Wind is not blowing out. It's blowing in to the left and right. And the Rangers ballpark, if you go to everything, it's a pretty good home run ballpark. But with the rain coming in and against a pitcher like Littell, who doesn't give up a ton of home runs, fuck it. Give me the Rays money line. I'm getting plus money here. I get that they're on the road here, but I'm going to lean them in this matchup here. All right, and to finish off the day, so a bet that I hate taking in baseball, but statistically it's been one of the more profitable ones, so I feel like I have to take it if I see even a slight angle here. But um, getting two kind of shit offenses. We're getting those Reds that have put up 0 runs in 20, what is it now, 27 innings. They've lost 3 games in a row, 0-1. So they've obviously been smacking the under. And the Brewers kind of heating up a little bit, but they also had a bit of a slow start to their offense. Um, I don't think the Reds are going to figure out their offense on the road, especially not against a lefty. If you look at last year, Cincy versus lefties, third worst in college in baseball with a 66 WRC plus to finish off the year. And on the other side, we have the Brewers versus righties. They also weren't phenomenal. They were definitely better than Cincinnati, but they're still just over 100 WRC plus. But this year, Milwaukee versus right-handed pitching, they've been, where are you, Milwaukee? I feel like I'm missing them every time yeah, sub 100 WRC plus with 94. Reds obviously are going to be dog shit in every stat because they can't hit the ball, but they're 50 against lefties. And again, I don't think these are, Nick Martinez or Tyler Alexander are great pitchers. Look at Tyler Alexander's first start. Yeah, this is going to be his debut. Who else we got again? Sorry, Nick Martinez had a great start. Only pitched 6 innings, but a decent xFIP of 4.12. Tyler Alexander, a Sierra of .440, so a very average pitcher. And then we want to look at Nick Martinez, also very solid, 3.71. If you look at Nick Martinez historically, he's been really good against this Brewers lineup. With 64 at-bats, he's only given up 11 hits, kept them to an average of .7172, an OPS of sub .500, which is pretty elite. So if you look at the weather in this game, it's going to be blowing slightly in left to right for the most part, which is not really good for this type of lineup here. Historically, left to right is is worse for right-handed pitching, which hitting, which we're going to get a good chunk of in this game. And it's going to be blowing. It's going to be really cold. It's going to feel like 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's going to be chilly, which typically does benefit the pitcher. And if you look at the ballpark, the Brewers ballpark, American Field, has a park factor of 97 over the last 3 years, which brings them into the bottom 10 stadiums for batter hitting. So I think we can get the under here. I think it's going to be like a 3-2 game maybe. I think since Reds need to get a fucking run. They have to. But this is, again, it's going to be cold. They're going to be on the road. And they're going to be up against a pitcher that, against a lefty that has historically done okay in this kind of spot. So we'll see. But I'm going to be on the under 8.5 here at -125. All right, and my very final bet. Sorry, I think I usually only bet like 3 to 5 games in baseball, but I wanted to do some volume today just because I had no other action in any other sport. So yeah, again, don't necessarily have to tail everything if you are tailing, but yeah, I look at these two teams. Their offenses versus righties have been really, really bad. If you look at the Angels versus righties last year, they were the second worst. And Cleveland was the 23rd worst. So we had 91 WRC plus and 82 over pretty significant sample sizes. This year, to start off, they're still bad. Angels bottom 4, Cleveland bottom 10, 78 and 60 respectively. So they continue to have struggles against right-handed pitching. And Gavin Williams and Soriano are not bad pitchers at all. Soriano, I think, is really elite. He had a really good start on 7 innings pitched. He had a 2.96 xFIP to start off the year. And Gavin Williams, on 5 innings pitched, had a 4.92. So he's definitely more of the weak link, but I think the Angels' offense is also a bit weaker than the Guardians' offense. So kind of balances out there. Bullpen-wise, Angels actually have a really good bullpen. I have them as the 10th best bullpen, and the Guardians is the top 5 bullpen. So I think if these pitchers get pulled relatively early after the 4th or 5th, I think we're still in decent shape. I'd arguably rather get them pulled, earlier than later, because I do think the bullpens are better than these pitchers. But I still think they're both elite pitchers. Not really any data much on these matchups. They haven't really pitched much against each other. But if looking at the weather, it's going to be blowing out a little bit, mostly left to right. But it's going to be still a little bit cold. It's going to be clear skies, but This Angel Stadium is not one for runs. If you look at their park factor, um, basically 100. But if you look at their park factor in night games, it gets much worse. Um, bring it to 99. Basically only getting home runs. But both these lineups, not necessarily that home run heavy. At least these pitchers don't really give up that many home runs. So yeah, I'm gonna have to lean here on the under 7.5. I think we're getting a good price here. And I think Soriano pitches well, Gavin Williams pitches well, and both these offenses continue to struggle to get some runs on the board. So if this is gonna die, it's probably gonna die to the Guardians. But I think matchup wise, we have a really good hitting team against a good pitcher and a mediocre hitting team against a meh pitcher. And if all things come equal, this could be like a 4-2 kind of game for the Guardians if I had to put my money on it. So yeah. All right, and those are the 10 games and 10 sides totals, whatever, that I'm taking in baseball tomorrow. We have the Athletics money line, Yankees minus 1.5, Giants money line, Arizona, Washington over 8.5, Phillies money line, Marlins first 5 plus a run, plus half a run, Orioles money line, Rays money line, Reds, Brewers under 8.5, and the Guardians versus the Angels under 7.5. In terms of leans, I do kind of like the White Sox here, a little bit against the Detroit team. I think is a bit overrated. Yeah, I think they're just the number is way too big in my opinion here against a Detroit team that historically has not done good against righties. Obviously, they have the pitching matchup, whatever, but White Sox they've been hitting pretty good. Can't knock them. Cardinals, I think this is a weird one. I kind of wanted to bet it at plus 120, but the line's kind of tricking me. Boston's really coming to life, and I don't really feel like betting against them right now. The Padres versus the Cubs. Obviously, the Cubs have whatever his name is starting, Shota Imanaga. The Padres are starting Vasquez. Clear pitching difference. That's why you're getting plus 145. But in the world of baseball, taking plus 145 for a team that's undefeated, basically, in the Padres seems like it's probably a decent bet to make. So if I want some earlier action, I'm probably going to take that one. And I'm a Jays fan, so even though I actually would have technically bet Mets, I just don't bet against or don't bet the games at all on the teams that I do like. So I would maybe like Mets here. I think they have the pitching advantage and the hitting advantage, but I just can't fade my home team. Not worth it. So I guess you could probably add that as a bet, but again, I'll be rooting against you on that one. So anyway, that's everything for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll probably mostly stick to five a day, but today I just wanted to do more because it's a rare day where there's no other games on. So and fuck NBA. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.